Good afternoon, everyone, and a very warm welcome to our webinar, The Women in Leadership, the Leaders of Tomorrow. My name is Muhammad Ali, and I'm the Business Development Manager at Emerging Visions Private Limited. And I'm delighted to host this session in collaboration with Aston University and the Islamabad Women Chamber of Commerce and Industries, IWCCI. Today, we come together to spotlight the role of women shaping the future of leadership across sectors, across borders. It is true honor to welcome our keynote speaker, Professor Helen Higson, a leader in higher education and a passionate advocate for inclusive excellence. I also would like to welcome the spokesperson of IWCCI and the former president, Ms. Naima Ansari, and another former president, my CEO of Emerging Visions Private Limited, Mrs. Rizwana Asif. Professor Higson is a professor of higher education, learning and management at Aston Business School and was the former Deputy Vice-Chancellor at Aston University and a Principal Fellow of Advanced Higher Education. Her work focuses on employability, intercultural development, and creating inclusive academic environments. Please join me in welcoming the remarkable Professor Helen Higson. I would want you to start your presentation now, please. Over to you, Helen.
Thank you very much. I'm trying to share my screen and it's saying sharing is not possible. So that's why I sent it to, so it should be coming through now. Can you see my screen?
Yeah, that's working.
Yes, okay.
Helen,
it's working.
Brilliant. It's such a pleasure to be here today, and thank you for your amazing welcome. And as has been said, this is me, I'm Helen Higson. I've been at Aston University for a long time, and my specialism in my career has been how can we produce more diverse leadership. And so this small talk is going to be about how can the Aston MBA propel female leaders to make a difference. So what I want to do is I want to do an overview of why we need to promote diverse leadership globally. And then I want to talk a little bit about the Aston MBA and how we've created our new MBA to take that into account. And finally, I have some really, really good news for you. I have some special scholarships, which I've been allowed to target for this work. And I'm giving you priority with these scholarships, because I know how important it is for you to promote women as leaders. So the first thing to say, if I just go back one, first thing to say is we've got to think about the future of the workplace. It's not about what we do now. It's not about what we might have had in the past, although I've got some old photographs here. But we've got a workplace that, as you will know, it is more diverse in many, many different ways. We've got more diverse things we need to do, and we've got more diversity in the things that we have to deal with and the people that we have to deal with. But it's also more demanding. The fast-moving pace of businesses now are quite different from when certainly I started in the business. And we're also, all of us, working more flexibly, and that brings more complexity. And we're also working till we're older and we're working longer. So we have different needs. And as you will know, and I know your work is very important in this area, we have more entrepreneurs, we have more knowledge workers, and we have more service workers. So more people who are creating service, more people who are dealing with data, and more people who are running their own business. And we're really dependent on that. So that makes us change how we look at the world of work. And we have more people working in SMEs. And this is not a local thing. This is across the world. The data shows that we're working in, more of us are working in SMEs. And also we're working, more of us are changing our careers a number of times. So my father, when he was in the same company for 48 years. It wasn't thought that he might change. I'm a hybrid. I've been in where I am at the moment for a long time, but I have worked elsewhere. But my students, they're looking to work in one place and then move to another place. And we need to prepare them for doing that. And finally, in order to do that, we need to upskill and reskill all the time, particularly in technology, which is changing all the time. You can't expect to be able to rely on your old skills. And just to give you a sense of how that fits in, they did a survey a couple of years ago, and it's not very much different now, is what are the skills that the top 10 skills that organizations are needing. And they're all things that they're not necessarily the technical skills, although there's technical literacy there, but it's not the subject discipline skills. It's the softer skills, the analytical skills, the emotional intelligence and resilience and leadership and empathy skills. And please don't be offended, those of you who are not female in this conversation, but actually it's shown that the female brain has a lot of these in abundance. And so women can teach the whole population a lot about this. Of course, that doesn't mean that men haven't got this as well, but I think that there is something about the way that we're brought up and the way that we learn and the way that our brains work, that actually some of these things, which are the softer skills, we're traditionally better at. And then we need to think about equality, and we're all of us on this call very keen on equality. And I just wanted to remind us that equality doesn't mean being equal. So in the old days, when I was working in equality, what equality meant was that everyone, whether you're a cactus or a rose or a palm plant, would get the same amount of sun and the same amount of rain and the same amount of support. But that doesn't necessarily, giving the same amount of support to everyone doesn't necessarily mean we're being equitable in what we do. So we need to be more nuanced in that. So the cactus, for example, needs more sun and less water, and the rose needs a combination, and the palm needs less sun and more water. So we need being equal and being and dealing with diversity in an equal way actually means a very individualized experience. And we need to think about how people are able to thrive like these plants. And I would also look at it in another way. So we're all trying to avoid exclusion. So here in the first diagram, we've got all the green people inside the space, but all the people who are not green, they're kept outside. And I think we've moved on from there. But at the same time, we often think that if we've got everyone in the space, that's enough. So we can have everyone in the space, but all the green people will sit together and the blue people will sit together and the etc. Whereas actually inclusion, and this is what I know that this philosophy of us on this call is, inclusion is everyone is in the space and everyone is mixed up in the space, because we know that that will add most to the bottom line, to the motivation and the health of companies and the health of individuals. Now, many of you I know will have met this concept, and I think it's important to think about leadership with this background of this VUCA concept. So we're in a very, very different environment, and we're in a VUCA environment. And VUCA, volatility, there is a lot of volatility. Things are changing all the time. Small things happen all the time. You know, President Trump is telling us every day something is new and something's changed. And that is a small trigger which will then result in a large change. So volatility, we can't expect things to remain the same. And secondly is uncertainty. We have a lot of unpredictability now. And we don't necessarily understand what's coming or when it's coming. And so we have to build into our leadership resilience to be able to cope with uncertainty. And then thirdly, there's complexity. The relationships, when you've got a diverse workforce, for example, relationships are more difficult. I remember when I first started recruiting managers, and I started recruiting them so that they all looked like me and they sounded like me. And this was not good for the institution. And then I started recruiting managers with different personalities and different backgrounds, and they took more management skills, but for the organization, it was much stronger. And then finally, there's ambiguity. And this goes back to those 10 top skills that I mentioned at the beginning, that you have to work out how the situation is. It's not cut and dry. Facts, you can't rely on the facts. Information is presented in a different way and interpreted in a different way. And there's a lot of unknowns. So you have to live with, actually, there are situations where there is no solution. And I think that goes back to those skills that we need to develop within the workplace. So finally, I just wanted to list the 10 leadership skills in this uncertain world that has been brought out by Bob Johansson, and they're very much the same as those leadership skills that we saw, those top 10 skills, but they're all about instinct and empathy and quiet transparency. It's not making a noise. It's about creating things in common. It's about organizing. All of these things we know that women are very good at. And if the world needs that, and the uncertain world needs that, how can we make sure that more women are there alongside the men in partnership, creating this new sort of leadership in this new world? So I think women are crucial because they bring a different perspective, and diversity brings us to a better place. I think that we've also already got incredible amount of role models of women who are already leaders and entrepreneurs, and we should use those as role models. And then if we move to the MBA, we currently, actually, this is when I got this information earlier in the week, we're doing a lot of better than we used to be on the percentage of women who are on MBAs. But there are many MBAs who have far fewer students who are women than that. In fact, in the Aston MBA this year, we're 50-50 men and women, and it really helps that you've got that equal divide, so that there is no one gender voice shouting more loudly. So with that perspective, I wanted to introduce you to our new Aston MBA. And Aston is right from its start has been a university for science, technology and enterprise. We were created by the employers of Birmingham in 1895 because they couldn't find people with the right skills, and we continue to do that. And so what we try to do in our new MBA is to take that legacy and that expertise that we have, and then look to the future in that world, that VUCA world that I've tried to explain to you about. So we want to create people on the MBA who can drive change in society as well as for their own career. And we want to make sure that they're working in business, technology and enterprise. but we want to help give them the skills that they can take those, as I've said here, leverage that technology to be able to enhance whatever happens for tomorrow, because we're designing today, but because of change, we need to make sure that it will still be as relevant as possible in the next few years. So that's the way in which we've designed it. And this is quite small, but you'll see that as a result of that, we've created this structure. We've got 5 core modules, 3 in the first term, and you'll see it's not just the traditional strategy in economics, but it's strategy in economics for global perspective, because we know that all managers need a global perspective. And it's not just finance and accounting, it's financial analysis to drive value. It's what you do with your accounting and finance, not just the technical side. And thirdly, there's strategic marketing, but it's not just marketing, it's realizing that marketing is about data and planning and analytics. And in the current world and beyond, those analytics are going to be more and more important. And then in term 2, a couple more of the core modules, managing operations transformation. So it's not just operations management, but logistics are changing, supply chain is changing. So how can we make sure that our graduates are a catalyst for that transformation? And finally, on the core, it's a leadership for tomorrow, not just leadership for today. So tomorrow it will be responsible leadership. It will be leadership which deals with crisis. It will be leadership that leads with diversity. I think we have a hand up. I'm happy to take questions as I go along. Zuha, did you want to ask a question, or shall I just continue?
I think you can continue and we can have the question answer.
Have some questions at the end.
Yes.
Fine.
Yes.
Excellent.
Yes.
You'll also see that in our new structure, you'll see we've got a startup lab. We know that there are more and more people who need to be entrepreneurs, who want to be entrepreneurs, or if they're in a bigger organization, their organization needs that entrepreneurial mindset. So we're making sure that all of our students get a chance to work with small businesses, to develop small businesses, and to understand what a startup needs. You'll also see there that we've got some strategic business challenges. That's very much what we do at Aston. Lots of consultancy projects, lots of real life projects. But we've realized that actually the skills that the students need are in technology. So there will be a real life consultancy project in consultancy, but also a global business challenge. It's all very well managing within your own environment, but you have to understand those connections. And then right along the bottom, you'll see that there's this thing called Aston Edge. Aston Edge is our magic. This is the stuff that is on those top 10 skills and the ones that are on the leadership for the future. This is the stuff that you don't learn in the classroom. It's the negotiating skills. It's the emotional intelligence. It's the ability to understand yourself and your own strengths and weaknesses, and to maximize your strengths and to maximize the strengths of those in your teams. And we put a lot of work into this because we know that employers tell us, well, you've seen from the top 10 links that these are the skills that gives you the edge. And then finally, we've got some options. I'll come back to that. And we've got a major research project which allows students to develop their own interests and to put a pitch for the work that they might do in the future. Just to explain again, this is quite small, but our MBA is such that everything's done in blocks, 1 week blocks. So if I give an example, we start off in term 1, we've got strategy and economics for global competitiveness, an immersive week of it. And the students then, after their 1 week, they go away and they work in teams and on assignments for 5 weeks before they submit their assignments. And then in the second week, before they get onto their second topic, they get some of the Aston Edge. So in between each topic, they get some the glue in between the two topics. And then, for example, in week 3, they would do financial analysis to drive value. And that's a 2-week block because we have a major simulation. A lot of our work is by simulation, games, real life consultancy. It's not just sitting in the classroom. Because this is such a big simulation, we give them a bit longer on that. I won't go into detail on this, but you can get a sense that it's a very carefully crafted, holistic program, but it's intense. And I won't show you that again. That's when the assignments are due in. So if I go to the options, so every student can do 2 options, and they can choose the options that fit them. So if we go to pathway, so B, C, D, and E, these pathways, there's 2 options in each. And each of these pathways is developed according to the work we've done with employers on what they need. So cybersecurity, healthcare, marketing, AI, and digital transformation. But some students don't want to specialize. They would like to take one from 2 of those things. And that's possible. And we offer that pathway as well. So finally, I wanted to tell the exciting piece of news, which is about the scholarships. So as you would expect in any university, we do offer scholarships to our really strong students, and we offer what we call our gold scholarships and our silver scholarships. And I'm sure my colleagues from the international recruitment team would be able to tell you about those. But I've been allowed to create 3 new scholarships, and these are the ones that I think would be good for you. One is for inclusivity, Aston Inclusive. They align absolutely with our strategy. So these are for applicants who provided evidence, and it's an application and interview, that they've increased the diversity inclusion within an organisation over a period of normally about at least 7 years. So there's that one. Or there's an entrepreneurial one. And this is for an applicant who's developed and they've set up, they've run and they've grown a business over that period of time. And the third one is a transformational one. It's an applicant who's demonstrated that they've really transformed an organisation. And I have been given the go-ahead to be able to say, I can prioritise to applications from you, and I'm looking to be able to offer at least 2 scholarships, if not 3, to people who you might have in your network who might be interested in working at the MBA. And each of these scholarships, it's not only a very prestigious thing to have, but they do carry with them a £12,000 reduction from our fees. So they're big scholarships. They're bigger than most of else we do. And I'm really excited that in this partnership that my colleagues who work with you in Pakistan are able to do. They have been able to, we've been able to offer this. And I put this on the table as a gesture of our partnership, and because I know how much work you're doing in this area, and we'd love to see some of your students with us.